I do believe this is one of the biggest scandals in the history of humanity, and it gives us, I think, the clearest window into how the world is really run.
This is David Wheaton. The following is a short take from the Christian Worldview radio program. You can hear the full program at thechristianworldview.org. Alex, why is this story so massively important beyond just the salaciousness of the sexual accusations?
I do believe this is one of the biggest scandals in the history of humanity, and it gives us, I think, the clearest window, other than the Holy Scriptures, that we have seen so far into how the world is really run. The media, to the extent that they're talking about this at all, have been focusing on the child abuse and the involvement of some prominent people, and those issues are very important. They must be dealt with. But what you find when you read through these is just very clear insight into how the world really works. You literally have some of the most powerful people on the planet openly communicating with a child sex trafficker. You have references to demonic horror that is so abominable you can't even talk about it publicly, right? Ephesians 5:11 has always been my motto as a journalist, right? Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them or reprove them. But then the very next verse says some of these things are so shameful, it's shameful to even speak of them. But for those of us who read our Bibles, for those of us who take seriously the Word of God, we already had some sense that this is how the world really works, right? When the Apostle Paul describes Satan as the god of this world, when Satan offers Jesus all the kingdoms of the world in Matthew chapter 4, when 1 John chapter 5 says the whole world is in the power of the evil one, I think a lot of Christians today just kind of gloss over that, but we forget that the Bible's true. The Bible's the Word of God, and Satan is a real being. He is roaming like a lion, seeking whom he may devour. He's blinded the minds of them which believe not. And unfortunately, we see demonic influence at the highest levels of power. So there is massive criminal activity here, and we know that the role of civil government is to punish these exact kinds of crimes, crimes against children, crimes against populations. And so there's a lot of different strands here, and I hope we'll get a chance to talk about one of the most disturbing ones. Once you get beyond the sex headlines and the child abuse headlines, there's a very clear pattern that's emerging here. Jeffrey Epstein was involved openly, by the way, once you read these documents, in transhumanism, genetic engineering. They were big believers in what they call directed evolution. They believe that they're going to be manipulating, and they're already working on this, manipulating the genetic code of human beings, of other organisms on this planet, sometimes mixing and matching them. There's evidence that there was a forced breeding program involved here, and it involves a lot of the most elite institutions in addition to a lot of the most powerful individuals. It's not just Bill Gates and Bill Clinton and these guys. We're talking about Harvard, we're talking about MIT, we're talking about Columbia University, we're talking about Arizona State University, very prominent scientists. And once you see what these people were up to, you can never unsee it. So we have a historic opportunity here to expose this evil, to punish those who've been involved in this evil, and hopefully to protect people and children especially from these kinds of monstrous crimes in the future.
This has been a short take from the Christian Worldview radio program. To hear the full program and connect with this nonprofit radio ministry, go to thechristianworldview.org. I'm David Wheaton.